Welcome to Factoring Polynomials with a Visual Guide. This is already part 4B of a series of videos to help students understand factoring polynomials completely. In this part of the tutorial series, we will be discussing factoring the more general form of trinomials ax squared plus bx plus c using another method called the AC method. But before we continue, these are important concepts you might want to recall. If you need to review these topics, I suggest balikan nyo talagang i-recall yung mga yon. Or, you are confident enough to skip to other parts of this video, click the links in the description below. But don't worry, we'll still try to explain some previous topics naman as we go along. Like previous parts in the series, let's review first our visual guide, serving as our map in factoring polynomials. When factoring polynomials completely, the very first step is to get the GCMF. That is part 1 of this tutorial series. After that, we proceed to step 2, where we will use other techniques of factoring depending whether we are left with a trinomial, a binomial, or a polynomial with 4 or more terms. So far, we started discussing trinomials with leading coefficient equal to 1. Ito yun. That is part 2 of this tutorial series. Also, nag-segue tayo ng konti to factor quadratic-like trinomials here, which was discussed in part 3. And from the previous video, we started learning factoring trinomials of the general form, yung case na ang leading coefficient is not equal to 1 anymore. Ginamit natin ang organized listing method. That is part 4a. All of these in the links in the description below. In this part 4b, we are still discussing factoring trinomials of the more general form. Leading coefficient is not equal to 1, pero using a faster method. We're still skipping for the meantime number 2 here. Don't worry, if it's a little confusing now, it will all make sense when we apply everything at the very end of this tutorial series. Let us also recall factoring trinomials of the general form with leading coefficient not equal to 1. Here was an example from part 4a, the previous video. What we did here is called organized listing or trial and error. Kaya namang tiyagain, pero the big disadvantage of this method is kapag sobrang daming factors na ng first term and ng constant term, sobrang dami rin kailangang i-check na factor pairs. Remember this uli from the previous video? Ito.
Oh man!
Ang dami, di ba? This video, we are introducing an alternative way, a faster way of solving called the AC method. This is example number 1. Now, what if we're asked to factor the trinomial 2x squared minus 3x minus 5? Now, if you notice, our leading coefficient this time is not equal to 1. So, normally, sasagutin natin to, get the factors, we use organized listing, just like in the previous tutorial. But because of its disadvantages, medyo maraming ita-trial and error, we are introducing a new way of solving, and it's by using the AC method. Now, titingnan natin sa right side of our screen here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 steps in solving. Now, this is medyo nakakatakot, sir. Sabi mo mas mabilis. Bakit parang mas marami naman siyang steps? Now, don't worry. If we practice, paulit-ulit natin gawin by solving some examples, mamememorize din natin ito. You don't really need to go back and look at the steps anymore. Okay, sige, subukan natin. Step 1. Solve the product AC. Recall, ano tong AC na yan? Remember our general form ng isang quadratic trinomial? It's equal to a x squared plus b times x plus c. That's the general form. Now, this a here and this c here are actually our numerical coefficients. These are the numerical coefficients of our first and the last term. So, in this case, a is equal to 2. And b and C is equal to, correct, -5. Remember to always consider the sign before it. So A is 2 and C is -5. Now what do we do with A and C here? According to step 1, let's try and get their product. So let's try and do that. A is 2 times C is -5. So getting the product AC, it's actually equal to -10. Now, notice product of AC. Kaya pala tinawag na AC method because the very first step is to get the product AC. Very easy to memorize. Very AC. Okay, next. Step 2. What are the factors of AC with sum equal to B? Mukha bang pamilyar yung question na yan? What are the factors of AC with sum equal to B? Remember our visual guide? This is very similar to our first case in factoring trinomials. Let's recall here. In this part of a tutorial series, we were trying to solve or factor trinomials with leading coefficient equal to 1. And the shortcut question is, what are the factors of C with sum equal to B? Now, that is the case if the leading coefficient is 1. But in now our case, where the leading coefficient is not equal to 1, the question now will be, what are the factors of AC with sum equal to B? What are the factors of AC with sum equal to B? Kaya pala ito yung pinili natin because it looks somehow similar to our previous lesson. Okay, so subukan na natin. Magta-trial and error tayo. So, ano nga ba ang factors ng AC which is -10 with sum equal to B? Now, we can use this as our scratch area. So, ano ba yung mga factors ng 10? Okay, don't consider negative muna, 10. What are the factors of 10? We have 1 and 10. Now, is there a chance na pag pinag-add siya, magiging -3, which is the value of our B? No way, hindi pwede yan. Let's try another. 1 tapos na, try natin ng 2. 2 and 10. 2 and 5. Is there a way to make this, yung sum nila, magiging -3? Actually, yes. Bakit? If this is -10, we're getting the factors, one of these can be negative. In this case, if this is -5, their sum will be equal to -3. So let me write that. Our values are 2 and -5. Step 2 done. What are the factors of AC with sum equal to B? Next, number 3. Write the leading coefficient 3 times. So we would rewrite all of this trinomial in another form. Actually, susulat natin yung leading coefficient 3 times. What's the leading coefficient here? It is equal to 2. Sige, subukan natin. We have parenthesis 2x. And then dito, parenthesis 2x. Lagyan mo ng x, tabihan mo siya ng x. And then all over 2. Yan ang ibig sabihin nating write 3 times as shown. May 2 tayo dito, may 2 tayo dito, may 2 tayo dyan. That's what we mean by write the leading coefficient 3 times, pero sa numerator, mag-append ka ng x. Next, meron pang katuloy yung step 3. Complete the binomials in the numerator, kasi meron tayong numerator here, denominator. Complete the binomials in the numerator by appending the factors AC from step 2. Remember step 2, meron tayong factors ng AC that add up to -3. Ito yon. So, ikakabit natin dito. So, this now becomes +2. Kinopya natin yon. And then here, -5. Next step is factor out the GCMF and simplify. Remember GCMF, or the greatest common monomial factors? We have a binomial here, we have a binomial, and then we have a constant sa baba. Looking at these two binomials on top, do you see any GCMF or greatest common monomial factor in the first binomial? Yes, notice 2 can be a GCF. So, factor that out. Ilabas mo yon. Now, for this to be equal to this one, kailangan multiply it by x plus 1. Nag-factor out tayo ng 2. Check mo, 2 times x, 2x. 2 times 1, 2. They are equal. But we're not yet done. How about ito? Does the second binomial have a GCMF? Wala po. 2 and 5 are different and they are prime. So, kopya na lang. And then, minus 5. Uy, don't forget, we still have that denominator there. Yan na ba yung factors? Not yet. Bakit hindi pa, sir? Pwede ba naman ang factors merong denominator? Hindi pwede. But as you can see, 2 and 2 here are the same. Therefore, we can cancel because 2 divided by 2 is 1. Therefore, we now are left with x plus 1 times 2x minus 5. And now, finally, we have the factors of our trinomial here. Whew! Ang tagal, ano? First pa lang kasi. Now, if you want to check, of course, you can check by FOIL. So, checking, sige, let's do that. By first, outer, inner, last. First terms, x times 2x, 2x squared. Outer, x times negative 5 is negative 5x. Inner, 1 times 2x is 2x. And then, finally, last terms, 1 times negative 5 is negative 5. Combining like terms, walang like terms ang 2x squared. Combining our middle, our outer and inner, negative 5x plus 2x is negative 3x minus 5, which is equal to our original trinomial. Grabe, ang tagal ng first example, it took us almost 10 minutes para ma-solve yung isang simpleng problem. Pero don't worry, kasi meron lang naman tayong explanations doon na malulupit. So gagawin natin ngayon, let's try to solve using the same method, but this time, mas bibilisan natin less explanation. Check natin, example number 2. Notice that the leading coefficient is still not equal to 1. So, mag-AC method tayo. Huwag tayong mag-organized listing. Now, what do we do? Step 1. Solve the product AC. Let's try to identify A is 6, B is 19, and C is equal to 3. So, writing AC, 6, that is A, times C, which is 3. 6 times 3 is equal to 18. Now, step 1 done. Next step, what are the factors of AC with sum equal to B? Let's write 18 here. And then, ano ba ang factors ng 18 pag pinag-add equal to 19? This one's easy because 1 times 18 is equal to, ano ang sum nila? 19. The first try, we got it. So, isulat natin, 1 and 18. Step 2 done. Step 3. Write the leading coefficient 3 times as shown. So, let's try and rewrite this trinomial into a different form. So, ilang daw beses isusulat yung ating leading coefficient? 3 times. So, do that. Ano ba yung leading coefficient? 6. So, let's try write 6 here. Write 6 here. And then, all over 6. But please don't forget, ito may kasamang x. Times, ito may kasama ding x. Okay. Now, step 3, first part, done. Remember, again, may I reiterate, yung sa numerator, yun lang may x sa baba. Walang x, just the constant. Step 3, part 2. Complete the binomials of the numerator. by appending the factors of AC from step 2. Ano na nga yung factors ng AC from step 2? They are 1 and 18. Let's try to write 1 and 18 here. Okay, done step 3. Step 4, factor out the GCMF and simplify. So looking at our numerator, maghanap tayo ng may GCMF. First binomial, may GCMF ba? Wala po. So 6x plus 1 pa rin. How about yung second binomial, 6x and 18? Notice, 6 is a GCMF. So let's factor that out. Ilabas natin si 6. So 6 times ano para maging 6x plus 18? X plus 3. Check nga natin by distributing 6 times x, 6x. 6 times 3, 18. They're the same. But don't forget, we still have over 6 here. Of course, this is not yet simplified because we have a denominator. Bakit kaya tayo may finactor out? Because that factor can cancel our denominator. In the end, what we have is 6x plus 1 and then x plus 3. This now are the factors of our trinomial above. Of course, you can check by using the FOIL method. Sige, bibilisan natin. Check na lang. Gawin nating habit. Combining what we can combine, we now have 6x squared plus 19x plus 3, which is the same as our trinomial above. Mas mabilis. Okay, let's try and do example number 3. Mabilis tayo kanina sa example number 2. Let's make it even faster this time. Aside from that, pwede na siguro wala na tayong steps. Okay, let's try. First step, get the product AC. First, let's identify ano ba ang mga variables natin. A is 4, B is negative 4, and C is negative 3. Therefore, the product AC is equal to 4 times negative 3, which is equal to negative 12. Step 1 done. Next step, what are the factors of AC with sum equal to B? So, let me write here, negative 12. Ano nga ba ang factors ng negative 12 with sum equal to negative 4? Trial and error, bilisan natin. Let's start with 1. Kapag 1 yan, ang partner niya would be 12. Will this ever have a sum na magiging negative 4? Never, kahit pagawin nating negative yung isa dyan. Okay, let's try. Tapos ang 1, 2 tayo. 2 times 6. Can this become ang sum is negative 4? Yes, take note, this is negative. If we make this negative, their sum is equal to negative 4, which is equal to B. That's what we want. So, sulat natin dito. We have 2 and negative 6 are the products or the factors, of negative 12 with sum equal to negative 4. Next step. Leading coefficient, write it how many times? 3 times. So the leading coefficient is 4, therefore 4, and then 4, and then all over 4, 3 times. But please take note, maglagay ka ng x dito. That's step 2. And step 3, pero kasama nun, we have to append our 2 numbers here. We have plus 2, and then minus 6. Okay, next step. Let's try to look for GCF. First binomial, may GCF ba sila? Yes, this is 4x, this is 2. The GCF is 2, which we can bring out. Para equal pa rin sa taas, ano ba ang mamultiply mo sa 2 para maging 4x plus 2? The 2x plus 1. Check mo nga, distribute 2. 2 times 2x, 4x. 2 times 1, 2. Okay, done. Next, looking at the second binomial, meron ba silang GCF? Meron. Anong GCF ng 4 and 6? It's 2. Wow! For the first time, we have 2 GCF. Merong tayong GCF for each of this binomial. Bakit kaya? Sige, tuloy lang natin. What will you multiply with 2 to produce 4x and minus 6? So we have 2x minus 3. Don't forget, all over 4. Bakit kaya meron tayong dalawang GCF na ngayon? Because take note, to be able to cancel and remove that denominator 4 na istorbo, we need 2 times 2 para makancel yon. In the end, what do we have left? 2x plus 1 times 2x minus 3. And finally, we have the answer. Of course, again, we can do our checking here. It's a good habit, which is the same as our trinomial above. Okay, ready na? It's time for you to shine. Ito, exercise number 1. May steps muna tayo para may guide. Pause this video now and solve. Go! Here's the solution and the answer. Papakita ko lang na mabilis mag-solve pag AC method. So, first, label A, B, and C. AC is therefore 2 times 5, which is equal to 10. Okay, lista natin dito. Ano ba ang factors of AC with sum equal to 7? So, try natin. 1 and 10, no. 2 and 5, that's equal to 7. So, sulat natin. This is 2 and 5. Next, write the leading coefficient 3 times. So, maglalagay ako ng mga parentheses para ready na. Divided by the leading coefficient. So, leading coefficient is 2, 1, 2, 3 times. But don't forget, may x tayo dito. And then, copy plus 2, copy plus 5, yung ating factor sa taas. Next step, GCF. May GCF ba yung first binomial? Meron, ilabas natin 2 times x plus 1. May GCF ba yung second binomial? Wala, so 2x plus 5 pa rin. And then, copy natin yung 2, which we can cancel. Therefore, ang sagot, x plus 1 times 2x plus 5. And that is our answer. Mabilis pag AC method. Next example tayo. Ito exercise number 2. May guide pa rin tayo. Pause this video now and solve. Go! Here's the solution and answer. Nakuha ba? Mas mabilis na bang mag-solve? Sa exercise 3 and 4, mas may challenge. Wala nang guide. Kaya yan! Pause this video now and solve. Go! Here's the solution and answer. Getting better? Last exercises na to, 5 and 6. Kayang-kaya yan! Go! Here's the solution and answer. I hope nakapractice tayo with our exercises. There are other ways to factor trinomials in the general form, but that's for another video. See you on the next one. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Happy solving!